Hi, everybody. We have a couple of questions. This one is from Marie Jose in Ottawa, and it's always a difficult question. I think we talked about this before, but I think it's fine. She says, if we are destined to have an ego, why do we need to spend the rest of our life trying to be released from it? I love it. It's really a good one. And then she says, is it a social cultural belief that if we have a weak ego, we are considered not able? Is there such a thing as a healthy ego? And do we fear of falling into nothingness as we go past our ego? Gollies. Big dilemma, this idea of an ego. It's in many people's popular way of thinking about this. This is basically, an ego is a thing that relates to a name that relates to engaging with people that we don't like or we think should have a different way of living their life. And unfortunately, it gets a bad rap from that way of looking at things. Another way to look at it, some people believe that the ego is another name for the soul structure, which encompasses many lifetimes, for example, and many, 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 many different ways of acting. So really, it really means a personality, a form that is created by us from the time of our engagement with life on these levels, wherever that may be. And that form is what we actually use to engage with life. And so we use it in a lot of different ways, and a lot of people are very stiffly involved with this word, meaning really somebody really bad and not very good. And a weak ego, of course, being one where a person hasn't got the ability to function in this world. And somehow they're very mixed up. So, as you can see, definitions are not very pure. So what I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to try to use the ego as a personality. Your personality, whoever you are, I don't care who you are, that's an ego set. A form that you use, mostly unknown to you, that you use for the purpose of engaging with life with other people and with yourself, I guess you could say that. And so when you're talking about the ego and you're talking about so-called spiritual growth, and I say so-called because we look at engaging with the idea of spirituality. We look at it as if it's a thing that is separate from our life, and it isn't. However, that causes a problem just making that statement. The engagement with our life itself is set up in a way, I'll try and do this the best I can, set up in a way that makes us feel comfortable in the things that we're doing. It also includes those times when you're not comfortable. That's part of the ego. are part of the personality. I'm using them interchangeably here because that's the way most people talk about them, generally speaking. And if you're the person that says, I don't like their ego, the ego just means they're representing themselves as somebody pretty important and they talk that way. Well, I don't necessarily think that that's a good thing, bad thing. I think that's terminology and how we use it. But of course, that might be a personal view. So you might say you have a nice personality, but your ego aligns with that niceness to maintain a niceness under certain conditions, so you would be classified as a nice personality. That's an ego. Every one of us has it. You change how you act depending on who you're talking to or engaging with. You do that because you are implementing an expression of a kind for a purpose that lies within you that relates to how you think you need to be in a world around people who need to be impressed by you in some way. That's a personality, and that's a style. I'm using style. It's just another word. But it is your personality. And when we're dealing with the kind of form that I'm trying to put across here is that if you can allow yourself, and Marie brings this up in a way too, do we need to spend the rest of our life trying to be released of it? You can't. It's not possible. However, in the Eastern view, the ancients talked about removing yourself slightly from, I said slightly from, because that's all you can do, unless you create another ego state. Meaning, if you create a system that says now that you're spiritual and that's all you are, and you're not like other people, you're only identified as spiritual in this little round thing that you look in through your eye, then that's an ego state. It may be true, or it may not be true. But here's that's not what I'm trying to talk about here. What I'm trying to put forth is this idea. Become aware of your personality and how you function, not only with one or two people, but with the world. See it. That's what the ancients were talking about. The ability to perceive you in action, not about good or bad, right or wrong, you in action, then understand that if any energy comes into you, you will increase that or create another ego state that doesn't even allow it to be there for you, because it is real, but you can't see the reality of it. In our material planes, most of us have good and bad days. We are human beings. We have a certain length of time that we engage with here on this planet. And that is not decreed to be a certain number of days. All kinds of stuff written about this one. Ideas that are out there that are really strange from my perspective. You're a bad person if you die at 35. Not really at all. It has nothing to do with that. It does have to do with how we function here on these planes. Meaning, the function of a capacity that we have internally. If you have a bad heart, you may not last 35 days. 35 years, sorry. If you have cancer, and that even young kids have, our system is affecting us. And shouldn't say this out loud, but we're not really doing a heck of a lot to help. Because we don't know what to do, primarily. Because it's complicated. Lots of plastics. It's well known that these are microplastics that give us really hard time. So we fudge that. We still use plastics wherever we go. But it's not the only difficulty. If you're interested in this kind of thing, become interested and find out what's affecting our planet. Fine. But that's not the case. This is all kinds of things affect us. Our circulatory system can be off. Our liver may not be formed in a way that is perfectly healthy. May not be. Anything can go wrong in our physical systems. To blame something beyond that is less realistic in these kinds of environments that we have. But we all have difficulties and can have. And we live as long as we live. There's no guarantees about what time we're going to be not here. And we hurt when that happens. That's real. That's being a human being. Because that's true. That's how it occurs here. So when you move into the business of trying, while you're here, trying to be aware of energy operating in us, is just an added awareness than what is normal here on these planes. What is normal on these planes? Just an added awareness. And as you become aware, you can become aware that there are other states of energy, because we're pretty physically oriented and emotional, and we allude to being mental. And I'm saying that simply because our reflexive responses are often emotional responses based on what we believe things should be like. Talk to 100 people and you'll get a variance that is unbelievable between those 100 people. And we've got 8.5 billion of them nearing. So when you're looking at this, broaden out your mind. Now, what did the ancients really talk about? From my perspective, here's what they thought. If you can get to understand how you function, there are options that may occur. One, you may fall in love with you more, the way you're acting, more than you did before, and increase how you functioned previously. Now, that can be positive or not so positive. But there's a whole bunch of stuff in between. You can also notice, I don't do this well, I don't do that well, but I do this well, and I do that well. Then do those things well the best you can. Notice you do them well. Notice others that you don't so much do well. If you feel inclined, notice that you might be able to affect how you do some things that hurt other people. That was a big deal. Hamsa, don't hurt other people the best you can. You will find that difficult because you will assure yourself that you believe that you're doing the right thing, even the hurting of other people, because you are protecting yourself. It is the nature of us. We live on the planet Earth, and its scale of engagement is such that, in terms of evolution, you could say, or inner development or spiritual development, is such that it leans on what others believe must be true. And we do that to be a part of a sociological system, which varies from nation to nation almost, and from group to group within those nations, cities to cities. I don't like that football team. It's from that city. We go pretty interestingly, strangely enough, and we have an emotional grab into it. Do the same thing for other things other than football. And that emotional grabbing is protected by us. And the physical protection is there. And the so-called mental, reflexive, reactive systems are there. So when the ancients say, be aware of you, or in the Greek background, know thyself. Not sure it started with the Greeks, but according to what I've read, it did. But we had a lot of stuff coming from the Far East and the Middle East that was never really respected that well. So wherever it started, getting to know how you function isn't a movement towards perfection. Can we sit on that one? It's getting to know how you function, noticing it, engaging with it, recognizing that those are the areas that will increase as you grow because more energy will go towards them. In the old traditions, you would then engage with higher states, whatever you would call them, and petition, another way to say prayer, for help. And one way to do that was to go crawl into a cave so that nobody else would influence you. And not because they're trying to, some people would, but because they're just how they are and they don't know any better. They don't understand that energy emits from them related directly to their stylistic system, personality, and deep down. For example, if a person just wants you to be under their wing, that's a push in that direction, because they feel really less than if you're not. This is consistent all over the world. That is something that the world has to attend to, but I don't know when that's going to happen. All of us have a little piece in that one. But if you can see it, then as you grow internally, not increased physical intensity, it's internal intensity. You see, these ancients knew what they were talking about because they were living it. It was not a theory. It was a practice. And they were glowing inside. And they realized that when they're in that focus, they weren't engaged with the focus of their own importance. But it could occur if they focused on the life of a normal human being. All kinds of stories are talked about in this particular way of engaging. One of the favorites that a lot of people talk about is that a gentleman who's one disciple of a master, meaning a person who's allowing themselves to perceive themselves without beating themselves up and without elevating their particular version of how they should be. At the same time, attempting to be like that. Here's the story. This young man, for 10, 15 years, lives in a place in the woods with this one being. And he is teaching this person to gain access to a level. But first of all, he has to wear off some of the stuff that he anticipates he needs to be. Otherwise, he's missing something, but he doesn't even know he has that. His personality focus is focused on this one teacher. So what happens is, the teacher tells him, he said, now you have to go into the world. But I've been living for 15 years in this seclusion, and I don't know what to do in the world. Don't worry. You'll walk into the world. There's a village down the road about, let's say I'll use 100 kilometers. By that time, you're going to be really thirsty, and you're going to go there, and you have very little food. You'll go there, and there'll be a well. And at that well, you will meet a person, and you will fall in love with them. And you will forget everything that you have learned in 15 years. You will be focused, your focus will shift off of the inner perception and move into a place that relates directly to the personality perception. And those inner chakras will focus down into that level again, and that's where you will be. And that will be fine. And you will make a home with this person. You'll have children. And after a number of years, you'll have a litter of pigs. I always love this one. And they will be beautiful. But there will be a small little runt that will be there. And that will be me. And that runt will be, I want you to take an axe and I want you to kill that runt within minutes of its being born. But I will send information into your head, and I will say, no, I've changed my mind. You don't have to do this. It's all right. I'll spend this life as a little runt of a kid. Because that will be an internal engagement as a pig or a personality needing to maintain where it's being logged into. No negation. But you will kill me. You will suddenly remember that I ask you to do that. And you will do that automatically. And I'll be grateful. Then I will appear in front of you. And we will have to leave then. Because your fulfillment and mine will be complete. You will come with me and you will continue and finish your teaching. Well, of course, this thing did happen. He goes down the road, meets this gal, and falls in love with her. See the transference of love from one level to another, and engages with the love that he has for him, being comforted by the love of her. It's all loving. And he doesn't know. He is completely focused on these planes. And life goes on, and of course, after many years, suddenly he has this pig that he's bought at a farmer's market, brings it home in the hopes that they will have enough food for some time to come. And suddenly this little runt occurs. As soon as he sees the runt, something inside switches on, and bingo, he gets the axe and he kills the runt. And exclamations from his family. They didn't want anybody to kill the runt, but he kills the runt. And within minutes, the master is in front of him and said, "It is now time to go." He says his goodbyes and off he goes. Yeah, Eastern story. Everything seems to be okay, and that spirituality takes precedence, so it's okay. Off they go. What is the purpose of the story? The purpose of the story was to try and explain that different states are engaged in us all the time. We focus on ourselves. It's an act of love. We decide this is the only way we need to be, an act of love, for that's the way we need to be. And of course, our reactions are exactly the same thing. They're very protective and defensive, and they follow the understanding that we're able to glean in relationship to living life. No negation is involved with those things. However, we don't necessarily find that we don't hurt other people from time to time. And of course, for purposes that relate to our own personality states. Unfortunately, the same is true in another question when we are hurting ourselves. And this is really uncomfortable. And I'll talk about that in the next question. But here we go. The idea of getting to know ourselves is not so we can beat ourselves up. It's just so that we can begin to understand that on these planes, we tend to think this way or that way or another way based on the engagement, non-verbal or verbal or reflexive engagements that we have had from the time of our birth. Also, as you know, within at least the last third of our engagement with being in the womb, we're much more ear sensitive and skin sensitive, and we hear the tones of the external world, and we begin to put them in our minds, or they enter into our minds relative to reflexes and tones that need to be used outside of the womb. And they become our friendly moments of comfort and feeling of loving. And it shows up in our relationships with life, with other people, but with yourself when you're on your own. It's sometimes difficult to engage with those tones, if the tones of life, if they are different than the tones that you're used to. You have to grammatize the tones you're used to so that you allow yourself to feel comforted in and out of that zone. So it propels you forward in the living process, these very early tones. And it's difficult to allow yourself to let them go because they're part of the fixture of our stylistic systems, our personalities, our egos. So when you're trying to understand another person, it's different than being around them. I hope everybody heard that one. When you're trying to understand another person, including yourself, you're at least trying to understand yourself and maybe how they got the way they did. But at the same time, here you are engaging and responding to another person. There's a multiplicity of things going on here at the same time. And you need one of the biggest senses of humor that I'm not sure anybody has. But maybe they do. We can only account for our own senses of humor. And so, to move into a state where you can allow yourself to see some of the stuff that you do and understand that you're practicing, trying to be less, let's say, involved with having things to be exactly the way you think they have to be. This one's tough, as many of us have found out over the years. And realize that fundamental that occurs within us all, each in our own way, but relatively similar, strangely enough, is something that has been with us for an awfully long time. You can't blame anybody for it. It's an aspect of what we all are a part of. Every one of us. No exceptions. Acting. Here's another method. Acting in a certain way. And if watching the way you act sometimes will be funny for you. Other times it will not be funny. Other times you'll have more sincerity for negation than you will for being positive about something. These are things that are related to a complex environmental system. So it's not only one or two people that brought you up. It's a whole environment. Because you will become tone sensitive to anticipation of what the meanings are around you. And you may be right in some cases, and you may not be so right in many cases. Then if you have reactions, that trains you to begin to see the boundary of where your structure has been cultivated. There's a space in there. If you can see that space, you say, okay, there's my boundaries. I have difficulty under these conditions if it stretches my boundary. The boundary of what I'm used to having, what I'm used to foreseeing, anticipation. rules many of our lives. The anticipation gets stronger as you grow, but you see it better. And there's a nurturing that goes on in it, where there's a nurturing towards understanding that it's not as helpful for you as it used to be, that anticipation. Because that's part of the very physical, emotional, mental personality structure. There's another thing that begins to happen then. What you're perceiving is like a space where it seems almost that you're watching what's going on. And that is inclusive of you. Now, the part is learning how to soften down the reaction. But that place within a different state allows you not to jump as quickly as you used to, not to react as much. You react in a different way, in a more understanding manner. One could say, these are just words, or a way where you're saying to yourself, why am I not reacting? I used to react here. And for a while, you won't react. Not the same way. You might react, but it's not the same. Then there will be an increase, and you will react. Because your personality has shifted, but now that energy is trying to help you to recognize that old form hasn't been destroyed. Because it was created with love. Your love for you being a certain way. So then that love comes in to help you understand that slowly you can soften something down. Slowly. Be careful you don't make up a personality state that says, I have now attained something extra special. And it might be extra special because the change is actually extra special. But the personality image that you're creating to be important is not extra special. It's what you did before. It's a movement back into that state. And you may not even see it. Ancients knew this to be true. Old sages, I'll stop saying ancients. And because there are still sages in the world, I'd say the sages. And they recognized how they knew it to be true was they recognized it in themselves. They had cultivated an honesty about what was going on within them, not by talking to others about how important they were because they did this. You never even heard them talk. They were just in a state of recognition. And they knew then that energy could come in a softer way for the purpose of being helpful on this planet. Okay, then, what is helpful? More love comes in. Here's a dilemma. What happens then? Then, in others, wherever you are loving, you get stronger. Think about that one for a minute or two. And if you're not aware of where some of these pillars of value are within you, then legitimately you will respond to that. They will become stronger. So you can see them and understand this. This is not complicated, but it is not something that we're used to understanding. None of us get a free ride in this one. And there's good reason for that. Because, generally speaking, as you find out more about you, you begin to recognize that others are similar and have always been similar. Not as a bad or good thing, but there are certain ways of engaging with life that are pretty consistent on these planes. They cultivate different stylistic ways of engaging, and some are quite unusual, but there are pieces of all of them in all of us. So when you're adamant about how you don't like other personality styles, consider the possibility that you have some of that stuff in you and you don't want to see it. Maybe. I haven't met a perfect person yet. I haven't been everywhere. I've met some pretty interesting people. Very able. Honestly. I don't know what perfect is. But I have a clue of anticipation. Because of the experience that I've had in relating to some very able beings, that general direction seems to be at least a direction where these beings are glowing with consciousness. When I say consciousness, I'm talking about higher states and emitting tremendously loving energy for a purpose that relates only to trying to be helpful to others. And they don't tell a single soul about it. The very interesting part is, you're not going to pick that up. Because with them, they can bring that loving energy in to almost zero within them, because our personality perceptions of energy of that state is limited. They can walk through a crowd of thousands of people and no one will even bother with them because it's not relevant. All they need to do is dress differently, act a little bit weird, don't wear shoes at a dance, have their tie around their forehead. I don't know. Anything that would perturb you being anybody out there, including me, and you would never know. Because you're too busy focusing on a response that comforts you. No negation in that. That's focusing on the love of how you believe you should be to engage with life the way you think life should be engaged with, relatively speaking. So it's interesting, this whole fascinating thing of becoming aware inside, so that you can move into a state that allows you to perceive your own state, but another state operating through you that is gentle, loving, and outside the natural, normal personality formulas that value the individual. It's very interesting. Now, when you're talking about this stuff, whoops, getting a little late. I just want to make sure that I've talked about. Yeah, they see the world inside and out without prejudice. That's a dilemma for most of us, because we have opinions about a whole bunch of stuff which we know should not be there. If you really, people are caring for the world, if we were looked after perfectly, certain things should not be there. And we know that to be true. But that's not the way our world is. Take a look outside. Outside your engagement with your nation. Look at other nations. Difficulties occur. So there's a movement towards seeing past our already firm beliefs and determinations, and beyond our present versions of what we think we are capable of. This is a big dilemma. One question is very disturbing to me. I don't know if you've found it disturbing. Are we actually capable at this moment of the whole world engaging with love? Well, the truth of the matter is the whole world is engaging with love. But can we change that state of loving? Because the whole world, individually, every cell of it, is engaging with love of itself. Even though from time to time it's engaging of love with others. Love of others, sorry. So it's a question. It's a question of vulnerability of our species. And the whole species is what I'm talking about. It's a big question. And it's mighty concerning. So in our little tiny way, do what you can to contribute as much caring as you can. You will find that very difficult, because life can be really uncomfortable, especially as we move in directions that relate to not being here. And that's uncomfortable, because we truly prefer the moment of where we are than some moment where we have no idea what will occur. And that moment is leaving these planes. And this has always been a very difficult question. Philosophically, scientifically, and many ideas come up. My suspicion is that this is not the end of our growing process. Material planes. It's part of it, not the end of it. And I'm pretty strongly focused on that one as I get older, as many of us are. In the meantime, I hope that helps a little bit. Marie, is there such a thing as a healthy ego? I think everybody tries to find, no, I'm probably not right on that. Well, maybe everybody tries to find a balance within themselves that no one else can help them with. Because there are certain ways of engaging with life that are uncomfortable for folks. Ask yourself the question. What do you think about your engagement with your own life? Are you okay with that? Obviously, I think you will find that your defenses conspire to be around you. Your engagements with life and the way that you use them currently, no matter what they are, conspire to be with you and maintain a sense of comfort circa how you have engaged with life all the way along. And if you've been vulnerable all the way along, you will be defensive in relationship to that vulnerability. I frankly don't blame anybody for that. We all have those moments and those areas in our lives. Recognizing that others have them as well. And trying to understand that most of our reflex reactions or acting out, even when we don't think we are, is related to vulnerability. Make friends the best you can with it and find a balance that relates okay to you now. Tomorrow may be a different place. I think humanity is adaptable. I think that is a saving grace for us. Hopefully our adaptations are reasonably healthy in terms of other folk and ourselves both. And so now I think we're going to meditate, and I wish everybody well. This is a very difficult question, but a worthwhile question nonetheless. Thoughtful for all of us. Thank you. And when it's at the end, I'll come back and we can do the balancing and grounding then.
जाति चंपक बिल्ब पत्र रचितम् पुष्पं च धूपं तथा दीपं देवदयानिधे पशुपते हृत् कल्पितं गृह्यताम् सौवर्णेन नवरत्नखण्डरचिते पात्रे घृतं पायसम् भक्ष्यं पञ्चविधं पयोदधियुतं रम्भाफलं पानकम् शाकानां यतं जलं रुचिकरं कर्पूरखण्डोज्ज्वलम् ताम्बूलं मनसा मया विरचितं भक्त्या प्रभो स्वीकुरु छत्रं चामरयोर्युगं व्यजनकं चादर्शकं निर्मलम् वीणाभैरिमृदङ्गकोहलकला गीतं च नृत्यं तथा साष्टाङ्गं प्रणतिः स्तुतिर्बहुविधा एतत् समस्तं मया सङ्कल्पेन समर्पितं तव विभो पूजां ग्रहाण प्रभो आत्मा त्वं गिरिजामते सहचराः प्राणाः शरीरं ग्रहम् पूजा ते विषयोपभोगरचना निद्रा समाधिस्थितिः सञ्चारः पदयोः प्रदक्षिणविधि स्तोत्राणि सर्वा गिरो यत् कर्म करोमि तत् अखिलं शम्भो तवाराधनम् करचरणकृतं वा कायजं कर्मजं वा श्रवणनयनजं वा मानसं वापराधम् विहितमविहितं वा सर्वमेतच्छमस्व जय जय करुणाब्धे श्री महादेव शम्भो प्रवृत्तिर्ममैव गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि भवाब्धावपारे महादुःखभीरो प्रपात प्रकामी प्रलोभी प्रमत्ता कुसंसारपाश प्रबद्धः सदाहम् गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि न जानामि दानं न च ध्यानयोगम् न जानामि तन्त्रं न च स्तोत्रमन्त्रम् न जानामि पूजां न च न्यासयोगम् गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि न जानामि पुण्यं न जानामि तीर्थम् न जानामि मुक्तिं लयं वा कदाचित् न जानामि भक्तिं व्रतं वापि माता गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि कुकर्मी कुसङ्गी कुबुद्धि कुदास कुलाचारहीन कदाचारलीन कुदृष्टि कुवाक्य प्रबन्ध सदाहम् गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि प्रजेशं रमेशं महेशं सुरेशं दिनेशं निशीथेश्वरं वा कदाचित् न जानामि चान्यत् सदाहं शरण्ये गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि विवादे विषादे प्रमादे प्रवासे जले चानले पर्वते शत्रुमध्ये अरण्ये शरण्ये सदा मां प्रपाहि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि अनाथो दरिद्रो जरारोगयुक्तो महाक्षीणदीन सदा जाड्यवक्त्रा विपत्तो प्रविष्ट प्रणष्ट सदाहम् गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहम् नित्योऽहं शुद्धोऽहं बुद्धोऽहं मुक्तोऽहम् नित्योऽहं शुद्धोऽहं बुद्धोऽहं मुक्तोऽहम् शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहम् शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहम् नित्योऽहं शुद्धोऽहं बुद्धोऽहं मुक्तोऽहम् नित्योऽहं शुद्धोऽहं बुद्धोऽहं मुक्तोऽहम् शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहम् शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहम् अद्वैतमानन्द रूपं अरूपम् अद्वैतमानन्द रूपं अरूपम् ब्रह्मोऽहं ब्रह्मोऽहं ब्रह्मस्वरूपोऽहम् ब्रह्मोऽहं ब्रह्मोऽहं ब्रह्मस्वरूपोऽहम् चिदोऽहं चिदोऽहं सच्चिदानन्दोऽहम् चिदोऽहं चिदोऽहं सच्चिदानन्दोऽहम् शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहम् शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहम् नित्योऽहं शुद्धोऽहं बुद्धोऽहं मुक्तोऽहम् नित्योऽहं शुद्धोऽहं बुद्धोऽहं मुक्तोऽहम् शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहम् शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहम् शिवस्वरूपोऽहम् मनोबुद्ध्यहङ्कार चित्तानि नाहम् न च श्रोत्रजिह्वे न च घ्राणनेत्रे न च व्योमभूमिर्न तेजो न वायु चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न च प्राणसंज्ञो न वै पञ्चवायु न वा सप्तधातु न वा पञ्चकोश न वाक्पाणिपादं न चोपस्तपायु चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् न मे द्वेषरागो न मे लोभमोहो मदोर्नैव मे नैव मात्सर्यभावः न धर्मो न चार्थो न कामो न मोक्षः चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् न पुण्यं न पापं न सौख्यं न दुःखं न मन्त्रो न तीर्थं न वेदा न यज्ञः अहं भोजनं नैव भोज्यं न भोक्ता चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् न मृत्युर्न शङ्का न मे जातिभेदः पिता नैव मे नैव माता न जन्म न बन्धुर्न मित्रं गुरुर्नैव शिष्यः चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् निर्विकल्पो निराकाररूपो विभूत्वाच्च सर्वत्र सर्वेन्द्रियाणां न च सङ्गतं नैव मुक्तिर्न मेया चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहम् ब्रह्ममुरारिसुरार्चितलिङ्गं निर्मलभासितशोभितलिङ्गम् जन्मजदुःखविनाशकलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् देवमुनि प्रवरार्चितलिङ्गम् कामदहन करुणाकरलिङ्गम् रावणदर्पविनाशनलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् सर्वसुगन्धिसुलेपितलिङ्गम् बुद्धिविवर्धनकारणलिङ्गम् सिद्धसुरासुरवन्दितलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् कनकमहामणिभूषितलिङ्गम् फणिपतिवेष्टितशोभितलिङ्गम् दक्षसुयज्ञविनाशकलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् कुङ्कुमचन्दनलेपितलिङ्गम् पङ्कजहार सुशोभितलिङ्गम् सञ्चितपापविनाशकलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् देवगणार्चितसेवितलिङ्गम् भावैर्भक्तिभिरेव च लिङ्गम् दिनकरकोटिप्रभाकरलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् अष्टदलोपरिवेष्टितलिङ्गम् सर्वसमोद्भवकारणलिङ्गम् अष्टदरिद्रविनाशकलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् सुरगुरुसुरवरपूजितलिङ्गम् सुरवनपुष्पसदार्चितलिङ्गम् परमपदं परमात्मकलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम् तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम्
Hi, everybody. I think it's time for us to do the balancing and grounding. Good night.